Hey guys, Latios here. I'm back with another video. This is one I've been wanting to do for a long time now. It's basically a video where I'm gonna be basically praising but also criticizing Hasbro and the way that Hasbro has been handling Beyblades. I know that, or at least I'm pretty sure that many other YouTubers have already done this type of video, but I kind of wanted to give my own input into this, especially because I've been away from Beyblades for 2 years. If you want to know why, just check out my I spent $1,000 on Beyblade video that I released not too long ago. I go into detail explaining why there. So I wanted to give my perspective, my thoughts about all of this. For those of you that don't know, I used to buy Hasbro Beyblades for the first two seasons of the Metal Saga. In Metal Fury, they started, which was the third season, they started to completely change the Beyblades for the most part. And at that point, I was just like, no, that's kind of messed up. Let me just get Takara Tomy Beyblades so I can get the actual Beyblades as they are in the show. And as they're supposed to be in general, not just in the show. Then they ended up releasing the accurate Beyblade because those screwed them up a little bit. And then with their Shogun Steel line, which was the fourth season for Metal Saga, they fixed just about all of those issues. But at that point, I was already buying Takara Tomy, so I just stayed buying Takara Tomy. When Burst came out, I was already buying the Burst beys from Japan. But then Hasbro themselves released a few of those burst beys, or released those burst beys. And I wanted to say with that, I don't have really much of any burst beys from Hasbro. I only have two from the first season, which was just Beyblade Burst. And then I bought a bunch, or not a bunch, but a few from a couple of different seasons. Just the other day because Target was having a sale. With all of that said, let's get into the things I bought because trust me, there's a lot of things I gotta talk about. As you can see, the packages, they're kind of cheap. I know that Takara Tomy also had some packages, but at least their cardboard felt a little bit better. And I don't know, it's just not the best packaging, and there's some cool factor to it, especially with this design. It's a little bit graffiti styled, which I love, but yeah, it's very basic and it's just very cheap looking at the same time. Not the artwork, just the package itself. Actually, before I forget, one thing I do like Hasbro doing is sorry, is that they are making boosters and starters and like double packs. Also, one thing that I've always liked about Hasbro is that they do make hard to come across beys from Takara Tomy easy to find in the West or wherever they distribute their beys. So that's always good. As you can see, this package is very beautiful. The cardboard is a lot thicker. And it literally resembles the Takara Tomy Beyblade packages for some of the lines. They even added the cool character motif that I love from the Takara Tomy beys. Like, this is just so well done. The back is kind of but I don't mind this one at all. And we'll talk about this. This is kind of the equivalent to Takara Tomy's random boosters for the most part. But except that you can see it. But there was a very specific reason why I got this one, and that's because of how it looks. We're gonna talk about Hasbro's designs for these Beyblades later on in the video, but this is the only reason why I got this one, because its design sucks. I don't like that they literally don't name their parts. They name, for example, here we can even use this Colossal Longinus. So we got Colossal Lunar L6, right? But the disc itself is just D81, and then the driver is TSP10. Like, that's not really a name for these things. Why give a name to the attack part, the chip, but not the other two components, you know? This disc, T81, I believe. Yeah, T81. It's actually called Wheel. Sorry, it's called Wheel. And here's the thing, like it's even engraved the way it should be with Wheel. So why not just call it Wheel? And then to make it even worse and more confusing, on the Beyblade Burst app, like where you can scan these, where'd it go? Where you can scan these things and just battle with the Beyblades on your phone. They literally they do call them by these like code numbers, but they also have like the actual name for them. So why did Hasbro do that? I really don't understand, because one, it's confusing to parents, it's confusing to collectors, and it's just confusing to kids. Like it's just such a weird mechanic to just call it like that. Just call it by the name it's given, you know? So a big thing with the Hasbro base is, like I said, after I believe it's Turbo or it's Rise, one of the two, Hasbro completely took Beyblade Burst in a different direction and just changed things. That's why we started getting things like Slingshot, Hypersphere, and Speedstorm. So it can become confusing because a lot of these parts, for example, this one here, isn't technically part of the Takara Tomy Beyblades. They made specific parts for their systems. And the biggest complaint with that is, if you're gonna do that, that's fine. I just feel like they shouldn't try to force that on you. I even heard, because I haven't watched the Burst anime yet, but I heard that the Burst anime is even censored in the dub from showing the Beyblades do their gimmicks or their mode changes, which I don't understand why. Originally, that wasn't a problem with the Metal Saga or even the Plastic Gen for the most part. There was a few censoring, but not like full-on mode changes and gimmicks being censored. So they designed specific systems, but forcing you to sacrifice the actual Beyblade for their system. And I feel like their system is creative. Like their stadiums, super creative, especially with the way that they design the tips to work with their stadiums. But at the same time, it shouldn't be forced on you. What they could have done is literally, and they have made their own exclusive Beyblades before. They could have just released those exclusive Beyblades under like the Speedstorm system or the Hypersphere system or the Slingshots system, without impacting the actual like Beyblades, which we'll get to Jet Wyvern pretty soon. I wanted to show you this as an example, and we're also going to be using Jet Wyvern for this. This is another one that I got because I can actually compare it, and you guys will understand in a minute. So here we have Colossal Lunar, which I just had to get because even though I like yellow and blue, this coloring scheme sucks. I'm sorry, the way that they designed the Beyblades, the plastic, the mold, how they designed it, it literally looks like melted Jolly Ranchers. It literally looks like melted plastic. It, for the most part, it looks like, I saw somebody on the WBO Discord server saying it looks like Fisher Price toys, and it's true. I mean, look at the coloring scheme. It's so faded, and it's so it's just so different. It's like really, really faded, really like baby bluish or baby yellowish type colors. This was one of the ones that I really wanted to get this for this video because it really represents when Hasbro does a bad job. And unfortunately, so many of the Beyblades do look like this. But then there are times where the Beyblades don't look bad at all. So like, I don't understand why they go out of their way to make it look like this when clearly they're capable of doing it correctly. So I'm gonna open this one and I'm going to show you guys how it would look like if it by getting it with a Takara Tomy Beyblade. So we'll be right back. Okay, I'm not even assembling it yet. I literally just took it out of the package, and the second it fell in my hand, I'm sorry, like this is my actual reaction of like 1 second of holding this in my hand. What happened? Really, what the hell? Sorry for the younger audiences, but like, really, what happened with the quality for this? At least, where is it? At least this one felt like it was some quality. It felt close enough to the Takara Tomy version. This though, what happened? Oh my god, this feels so hollow. It feels so brittle. It literally makes me feel like I'm holding a little bit of cardboard. I'm not exaggerating. It's so light. Oh my god. I'm actually shocked. I'm sorry. Even the disc itself, it's just. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to capture my actual reaction for this because this is. I'm sorry, this is terrible. This is literally terrible. I'm sorry. Okay, we're gonna get to this Beyblade completed and joined together, compare it to like the Takara Tomy version. So basically, to make this Beyblade, we're gonna be using parts from these 4 Takara Tomy Beyblades. Okay, so here we are, and I can tell you right now, this already feels so much heavier and so much more quality. This is how it would look with Takara Tomy, except as you can see, there's a big gap over there. That's because something is missing, and that's one of my complaints with Hasbro as well. They actually removed a lot of parts. For example, for the Super King beys, which this is based off of, this just feels so bad. There's supposed to be a chasm. I think that's what it's called, chasm. Some discs are built into the chasm, as you can see over here, and some it's a separate part. So this basically is just the Beyblade without it. So I wanted to also point this out. Wheel on the Hasbro version is more rounded, and it's so much more hollow, and it's so much lighter. I'm just gonna put this on together and we'll be right back. So this is how they would technically look like with the same parts. I just really can't get this feeling off. It feels terrible. I'm sorry. I know it seems like I'm exaggerating, but I'm really not. I'm just totally baffled by this. So okay, the verdict with this basically is that this is Hasbro at their worst. Forcing a gimmick on you, even though this is technically a Takara Tomy driver, but forcing gimmicks on you and completely removing parts, melting parts together, and hollowing it out, and it's just, this is Hasbro at the worst, 100%. And I really just want to say, like, if you guys aren't gonna get this, I understand. We'll get to some of Hasbro's other problems soon, but I just wanted to say, I understand if you guys need to get only Hasbro Beyblades, I understand. But if you can, definitely get Takara Tomy, because the quality from this most recent one from Surge compared to how the first Hasbro Beyblade burst beys were, the quality is so different. But yeah, plastic, melted plastic, awful coloring and just awful feeling. I basically looked on, and I guess that Hasbro decided to change how they make their molds and their plastics. I believe I said that earlier. They just basically decided to make it cheaper, and you can easily tell. It looks cheaper, and it feels terrible. But let's get on to something good that Hasbro does. All right. I'll stop ranting about this one. So here we got Jet Wyvern. And honestly, this one doesn't look too bad. I'm not gonna lie. The clear plastic though is a little foggy, as you can see. And what is interesting though, which leads to my complaint, is Hasbro decided to not use gimmicks or mode changes. Yet, for this one in particular, they kept this Jet Wyvern's gimmick. And the reason why I got this Jet Wyvern is because it's actually a Takara Tomy Beyblade that I have that I can compare it to. But yeah, they basically kept this gimmick, which I don't understand why. They kept the gimmick, but they removed the rubber and, made the plastic foggy. This at least doesn't look bad, and this is what I want to praise Hasbro with. When they want to do something good, they do make it look good. This still feels terrible though, like really feels terrible. Just as bad as this one, but at least it looks good. So that's what I want to say. When Hasbro wants to do something to make it look good, they can do it right. And as you guys can see on the chip, you can see the faint glittery stuff. And I'm going to compare this to the Takara Tomy version. See the difference? Yeah, again, not terrible, but you can tell it's missing a lot of details, especially compared to the Takara Tomy. But here's the Takara Tomy one, and as you can see, let this focus. Yeah, there we go. As you can see, there's like little sparks inside of the chip, so I'm glad Hasbro kept that. But then that's what confuses me. Like, they got out of their way to put little details like that, but then they treat everything else terribly, So here's the thing. They kept this gimmick, but they removed the rubber from it, which is the darker plastic here. And again, there's the chasm missing, but they molded the chasm right over there. As you can see, even in Colossal Lunar, they molded the chasm parts right over here. These 4 parts. So, it's like they're putting detail, but they're not going all the way with it. So, it's just really surprising. But then we get to the actual driver and tips, and as you can see, it's totally different. And then this is one of those cases where they're forcing a gimmick on you. This is from the Speedstorm. I believe it's Speedstorm, right? Let me double check. Yeah, Speedstorm system. So they're forcing a gimmick on you and not releasing the actual parts. So like this is free spinning, and these balls here also free spin. As you can see, it's basically a totally different bay. So it's really upsetting that they got out of the way to make it look at least decent or okay enough, but then they just screw it up by forcing parts that's not in it and giving you totally different parts. So if I'm watching the anime and I see this Beyblade and I see this, but then when I get is this, it's kind of like that meme, like, Mom, can I have this at home? No, we already have this at home, this. That's basically what it feels like, It's just, just look how tall that is and how thin. Like, look, again, the praise for this one is, yes, Hasbro knows how to do something right. Except that then they go and force the gimmick on you. And it doesn't make sense that they decide to remove gimmicks from everything but suddenly add a gimmick for this one, which again is part of the original. So it's just really confusing, and it's rather a little bit upsetting that they would treat people like, you know, like they're not gonna notice the difference. So yeah, it's just a little bit upsetting. But again, there is a praise here in that even though this feels terrible and it's got all the wrong parts and it's missing some detail, it's not terribly looking. Let's leave it as that, so they can make it look good when they want to. We're gonna now move on to Command Dragon, and that one I actually have more praise for. Okay, I have more praises for Command Dragon, but as soon as I took him out of the package and I didn't catch my reaction for that on video, I was just as shocked as I was feeling Colossal Lumiere and Jet Wyvern. This does feel really, really bad, but that's not the rant I'm gonna go into. The rant I'm gonna go into is, as soon as I took him out, I'm like, this is so light. And then I looked inside, and look how hollowed out this is. So not only does it feel bad, it's also, it's nothing. It's the light. It's almost like air. Sorry. Anyway, going into the actual praises though, so first, like Jet Wyvern, Command Dragon actually looks really, really cool. Making sure it's Command Dragon. Yep. He looks cool. I like him. I really think they did like a really good job translating him. Even the driver itself, I feel like they did a really, really good job. Like, this is basically a perfect translation. Basically. And I feel like this is the best praise I'm gonna give Hasbro for this right now. Or not really. When I do the summary, I'll explain everything better. But I also just do want to share my initial actual reaction with you guys about these. So yeah, it's the best one so far that really resembles his Takara Tomy Bey. Not 100%, but close enough. I feel like better than Jet Wyvern. Here's a Takara Tomy version. And here's the side. So as you can see, so much wider. But they still kept like these ridges. They kept at least like part of like the idea behind it. Like this one is fine, you know, like this one I can let it slide. At least they cared enough. You see what I mean? Like the detail is there. It's okay, you know? Yes, some things is definitely missing, as you can see here from the bottom. There's this whole other section with the Takara Tomy version compared to the Hasbro version. But it's okay. I can let this one pass. And like I said, I feel like they did a good job. And the biggest praise with this, other than it actually basically resembling the Takara Tomy version, is that yes, they forced the gimmick on this one, and that's why I got this one specifically, because this is a good representation of Hasbro forcing their gimmick on you with the Hypersphere drivers, but it's one that, you know, basically is adapted perfectly in a way, so it doesn't feel like it's forced on you. It doesn't feel like you're missing out so much if you get this Command Dragon over the Takara Tomy one, other than quality, looks, and function itself. So this one I can definitely say Hasbro did a good job on. But yeah, so that's the praise with this one. Again, we're not gonna go into how these feel because they feel terrible, but honestly, the color scheme for this one isn't too bad. It's just a weird color, but you have all this space. It just feels really unbalanced. Look, I'm sorry, Hasbro, if you're watching, I'm sorry. This definitely, like, I don't know what happened, why you guys changed the way that you guys make your plastic or your molds, but right now these definitely feel like Burger King or McDonald's toys and or bootlegs. I'm sorry. So okay, presentation wise, this is perfect. Feel wise, it's a little bit mixed. This feels cheap, but this is fine. I'm not gonna be complaining about this. This feels okay. It's still cheap, a little bit rubbery, but it feels fine. It feels good, you know? And they even added instruction manuals for the stickers, and this literally feels like a Takara Tomy way that they would have done that. And then it even comes with stickers. And they even give us a frame with the disc. They gave us Ultimate Reboot, which is a really, really good driver. Like, this is really, really nice. And I mean, the Ultimate Reboot though, and the frame, they do feel a little bit off, but they're not terrible. You know, they feel good. They feel fine. I can just feel a little bit of a difference, but for the most part, it's fine. It does not feel very cheap like this did. You know, a little bit, but not. I don't know. Maybe that's just me hoping that this is better, but it doesn't feel horrible. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, the layer itself, it's pretty cool, pretty detailed. Comparing it to the actual Takara Tomy one, as you can see, I feel like this one has no, they're pretty much identical. I just feel like the coloring is a little bit different, but that could just be because this one has the stickers, this one doesn't. But as you can see, they're pretty identical. You can even like literally change all of the parts here for Judgment Joker in the Hasbro version. So, which is pretty nice. So yeah, this is what Hasbro should be doing, not whatever all of these things are. Anyway, I do have to say this. It's kind of upsetting that the Pro Series doesn't actually come with the right parts all the time, as you can see, but these are good parts. So it's pretty good. This is a pretty competitive, good formation, and it does feel pretty nice compared to this one, to the Takara Tomy, and especially compared to the mainline ones. But here's the thing, and this is leading into the conclusion. Hasbro has done some really, really good things, right? Just to summarize everything, here's all the good things. They make it easy to get rare beys. For example, Wolberg would have been very, very rare or hard to get, unless it's through a random booster or something like that. So that is good. The thing is, we're not going to get into criticisms yet. So the second good thing is, when they want to, they can make a Beyblade look similar enough to the Japanese version. Including by adding their gimmicks sometimes. So that's 2 things. 3, sometimes their price is just going to be easier and they're just easier to find for some people. 4, at least they're literally making boosters and double packs and starters, and it's just easier to, collect Beyblades this way for a cheaper price, and that's good. And then 5, really, it's their ideas are creative, but when they execute it like this with super cheap plastic, when we know that they can actually do better because they've done so much better before, it's just, it's shocking. Yeah, so their ideas are creative. I'd love to see a sideline, like let the Pro Series take over, redo everything if possible into the Pro Series, and then just literally make the gimmicks that they want to make as their own creation beys. I know that they've made some, such as Ogre, and I forgot a couple of the other names. Let those be the ones for, like the Slingshot, Hypersphere, Speedstorm, whatever's gonna come next. But please just make the beys the way they should be. Even this, I have to complain. It's different parts, but at least these are competitive parts. But still, it would have been so much cooler if we got this one, but that's just me nitpicking. And also, sorry, so the sixth thing I will say as a praise for Hasbro is doing the Pro Series. Thank you. And I guess literally the seventh thing and the final thing is, like I said earlier, their ideas are creative and they know how to market things, and they do tend to really help make these accessible to people. But now we get into the situations, the bad ones. These are super light, super hollow, so that's one. They feel terrible, that's two. Sorry, it's really late, it's like 2 in the morning. They basically force the gimmicks on you, that's 3. They literally, change all of these names and don't name the actual parts, that's 4. In some countries, it's more expensive to buy these Hasbro ones than it is to buy the Takara Tomy ones, because Hasbro's been raising up their prices, so that's 5. Number 6 is Hasbro is raising up their prices but giving us super cheap hollow things, and again, they shouldn't be raising the prices if what we're getting, the quality isn't there. Number 7, I already mentioned the part names not making any sense, but number 7 is not giving Beyblades with the actual parts that they're supposed to come with. Number 8, the coloring system is terrible. Number 9, the packaging itself is horrible. I'm sorry, Hasbro. Other than the Pro Series one, the packaging for the other stuff is terrible. And number 10, it's just, it just makes so much more sense to get Takara Tomy Beyblades. I want to say this, I understand, like I said, some places it's still a little bit more expensive to get Takara Tomy Beyblades, and some places won't import to the countries they're in. So a lot of people, or if they don't have a lot of money, the best way to go is with these Hasbro ones. I understand that. And for that it's okay. But, to be able to, like, raise the prices for the most part for many countries and, like, remove all of the gimmicks. Oh, and that's number 11, removing the gimmicks. Like, they removed all of the gimmicks. It just doesn't make sense. And it's really upsetting that, in a way, it's kind of like a marketing scheme, and, they're trying to just rip people off in a way by raising the price up but giving lesser quality things. And this kind of leads me into the 12th complaint about Hasbro. Hasbro has released, and again, I wish I could have gotten the actual Beyblades I wanted to demonstrate this with, but I was just limited to what they had at the stores. Hasbro has released a couple of Beyblades 4 different times. One time as a single pack in a specific way. The second time in a dual pack in a specific way. And then it's more accurate to the anime, or something like that. The third time would be through the Pro Series. And then the fourth time, they released a specific bey. Again, I can't really remember which one it is, but if you guys look it up, you'll find it. This specific bey came in a 4-pack that literally brings 4 Beyblades from the Takara Tomy line in their correct parts, in their correct colorings, and with their correct stickers. So this one Beyblade got released 4 times, and honestly, that's just confusing. And then I guess 13th is Hasbro is making it not consumer friendly. Beyblade Burst has been in Hasbro hands really not consumer friendly, as I just said, and it's sad because you see that same Beyblade like 4 different times, and different parts are with one, and then the quality is better on it, and then it's cheaper over there, and then like some parents who don't know it are gonna be like, well, what's the actual difference? How much difference does it make? And then Hasbro doesn't really fully explain how these new parts actually go into play, because the parents just see what's on the shelf for the most part, which is the cheap ones that are really badly made. So all these new parts, the parents are like, oh, it's just extra parts to be extra money, but it's not. There's actual reasons for these actual extra parts. So that's just what I'm saying. Like, those 13 reasons for why the way Hasbro has been handling Burst just doesn't make sense. And then another example with Pro Series, you cannot use these parts other than maybe the disc with Hasbro's mainline release for Burst, because these are supposed to be Takara Tomy equivalents. So much so that they actually have the teeth mechanism in them rather than the slopes, which we showed at the start of the video. And that 4-pack that I mentioned, that one also is literally Takara Tomy parts for the most part, from what I understand. I don't know. Maybe the quality is a little bit different. I don't know. But that one also has the teeth mechanism. So again, it's just a mess of all of these different mechanisms. And I really just think Hasbro should just do the main line as the main line. And, if they want to be cheap, fine. Whatever. But at least don't force the things on us, and don't, like completely sabotage all of the parts. It's sad. But I also feel like, like I said earlier, if they want to do all of these gimmicky things like Speedstorm or Hypersphere or whatever, that's fine. It's such a creative idea, especially with their stadiums. But make your own line. Don't sabotage the main line and the anime exclusive things for that. It's just a big rant. I'm sorry, but I hope that this video has been a little bit informational, based off of someone who's collected Beyblades most of his entire life, and who had to take a 2-year break from Beyblades to literally like see how much of a difference this is. This is literally my initial reaction. I knew it was like shocking and scary and bad, but I didn't realize Hasbro has been treating Beyblade Burst like this until I actually am like holding it in my hands. Again, if that's all you can afford and you can get, that's okay. But if you know that you can get, the Takara Tomy stuff, go with Takara Tomy. Again, I'm sorry that if this felt like a big long rant, but I did want to make this because I just felt like I had something to say, and I'm glad I was able to express these frustrations with you guys as I'm actually opening these and feeling these for the first time. So yeah, I just really hope that this was informative in some ways. I know that Quad Drive is coming out now, and again, it doesn't make sense because they removed all modes and gimmicks from the previous releases, but apparently Quad Drive is supposed to have 4 modes. So I actually have a Quad Drive Bay here, well, technically a Dynamite Bay, but this is the Japanese version. I guess Hasbro is gonna do the lower and upper mode, but some people are saying they're gonna be doing driver gimmicks, and the driver gimmicks is gonna be the 2 extra modes. Honestly though, seeing what Hasbro has done with the previous stuff, I am worried how Dynamite's gonna feel. Quadrive is gonna feel. I'll probably get one and make just a follow-up on this video just to see say what I think about it. But I'm just definitely gonna be sticking with Takara Tomy. So hopefully Hasbro can get back to the way they were with the Metal Saga. Because what they're doing right now by, for example, releasing the Pro Series and that 4-pack with Takara Tomy stuff, they did with the Metal Saga during Metal Fury, except that they screwed up the coloring system completely. So they basically released cheap things like this as the beys, all hollowed out, missing its gimmicks and all of that, and mode changes. But then halfway through the season, they released the actual anime versions of the beys, but the coloring system was all neon and totally different colors. I don't know why Hasbro does this. This is okay. Reason number 14. Stop doing things like that. Just give us the beys as they are, and then maybe release a recolor. But don't force the recolor on us. That's another thing. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Alright, come subscribe. Sorry for the rant. And sorry it was a long video. It's very late now and I'm gonna go to sleep. Have a good day. 3, 2, 1, let it rip.